Hello everybody, welcome back to 2C TV with some breaking news. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Out of the doorway, the bullets rip to the sound of the beat. Yes, another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. We can officially confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that the IDF have taken out yet another senior Hezbollah leader in the south of Lebanon and have officially sent him to meet his 72 virgin goats. My thoughts and prayers are with all the goats affected at this time. In this video, we're going to give you guys all the details and of course the latest developments from the Middle East and the conflict. It's all kicking off again. Hezbollah are weakened completely, and now the Iranian regime are panicking. Of course, these are the minions of the Iranian regime. So first things first, we did hear the Lebanese media obviously reported initially that the Israeli drones were seen in the area in the south of Lebanon, obviously the town of Asala. There was an issue because a lot of people thought that this is just random retaliation. In reality, actually, it was a very targeted attack. And the good news is no collateral damage. And of course, another Hezbollah commander has now gone. His name is Mohammed, of course, obviously, Mohammed Ahmad Ayub, the commander of the artillery unit of the Al Nasser Brigade in Hezbollah. That's actually one of the main areas, one of the main units that they have, which is that they have the regular meetings in Tehran, the capital of Iran. They are directly funded, of course, and over the last few days, we had a number of commanders and senior leaders who have been eliminated by the IDF. And the interesting thing about this is that the rest of the leadership have completely disappeared. Apart from Nasrallah, obviously he's in a bunker. The rest of them, I can imagine, they're probably at some sort of all-inclusive hotel in Ibiza trying to have fun while the rest of the minions are being targeted. They don't care if they lose their own soldiers because they're going to brainwash the rest of the future generation. So, elimination number from the Hezbollah side has now reached 345. That's way too many now. I feel sorry for them at this point. Hezbollah commanders are dropping like flies. At least in Gaza, not only they have a nice beach, but actually, they have a lot of tunnels. So you can hide inside the tunnels. But in terms of the Hezbollah side in south of Lebanon, they have a little bit of a bunker just for Hassan Nasrallah, but that's basically it. Also, in defense of Hassan Nasrallah, he's too fat. So he doesn't walk around. He just sits in his bunker, watch Netflix, watch 2C TV, and that's basically what he does. Everything's just casual for him. Even Bin Laden, he was in a cave, but clearly he was still pretty active. He was doing exercise because he was pretty fit and thin, right? Hassan Nasrallah is obviously very much in favor of the supersized models in California. We do have the latest video, of course, from the IDF. First, let's go to the footage we have from south of Lebanon. Let's go. So that was the aftermath of the drone attack. And then, of course, we had the actual video released by the Israeli Defense Forces. And the IDF obviously eliminated Mohammed, a senior terrorist in the rocket and missile department of the Hezbollah's Nasser unit in an airstrike in Salah. Ayub had been actively involved in planning and promoting attacks against the Israeli civilians and communities from south of Lebanon. Again, just a reminder, just because the media do not report about the attacks on Israel doesn't mean nothing is happening. Everybody is focused on Israel's counter-terrorism operation in Gaza, for example, and in south of Lebanon. It's a reminder that almost on a daily basis, Hezbollah from the north, and of course the nutters from the south in Gaza, continue to attack civilian areas in Israel, the northern part of Israel. Civilians in Israel have been displaced for months. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares because they are Jews. Let's go to this video we have from the airstrike in the moment that the drone hit Mohammed. Well, happy death day to another terrorist. Of course, these people are not really concerned about it because they quite look forward to the afterlife. It's not like normal people who actually fear death and love life. Anyway, because of the operation finally working out from the Israeli side, there's a bit of a change of narrative from the Western globalist side. So there was a lot of pressure on Joe Biden and Macron and all the other weirdos because the operation against, for example, Hamas was taking ages. It was complicated. There were a lot of protests in the West. So that's why the American government came out to basically condemn Israel. But now we have Antony Blinken coming out to pledge to Netanyahu that we will remove the weapons restrictions. Elections are coming up, isn't it? That's interesting timing. So Joe Biden's government have decided to basically say, oh, okay, so we're still allies, right? You know, everything we've been saying for the last few months, kind of ignore it for now because we still have your back, but we don't really have your back because we're in the pockets of Qatar and Iran. Anything they do, we have to basically obey because the whole of the West is filled with blood Arab money. But for now, because you're doing your good job and you're avoiding bad PR in Israel, fine. We're going to work with you. Absolute shameless people. Completely shameless. The Western globalists, the government's shameless. So, speaking of Muhammad, let's talk about my favorite Muhammad, ladies and gentlemen. Muhammad hijab. The problems that we have is not just in the Middle East. So, just a reminder that some people say, well, why do we care about the Middle East? Because the problem is also here in the West, wherever you are watching this from. Muhammad hijab, who's become quite infamous. He tries to be like TCTV, but he can't. So he decided to become a bit of a crazy person. And he spreads, obviously, Islamism, sitting in the West, by the way, freely. This is another example of what he says. This is not slander or libel or anything like that. I'm not claiming he's saying something. Mr. Hijab, which I still love his surname, the irony, says... they have to, the Islamic side, have to fight against Christians and Jews because that's what the text told them to do. You know, he's basically saying, we're not doing anything wrong. That's what the ideology says. That's what we have to do.
The reason why you have to fight them is because they are Jews and Christians. You should fight those empires around you or those hukumat around you which are Jew or Christian until they give the jizya. That's fine. That we already know Islam allows. And then the howness of that is in the hadith. The three options that they're given. Either you give the jizya.
Yeah. Can't even talk properly. So, because that's what their religion tells them, that's what they're doing. Fight against Christians and Jews. He's telling us what they're doing. I'm not claiming he's saying it. He's just saying it directly. But the problem that they have is that obviously they are living in the West, in the Christian West, but they're not even pretending to be respectful towards the Christian societies. So you can kind of say, fair enough, respect. They are honest about their intentions. So the people you should criticize is not them anymore. It's our own establishment for allowing this to happen right here in the Western world. And by the West, we're talking about Western values. So that includes New Zealand, Australia, everywhere else. In Canada and US and obviously Europe. You have to target the actual politicians who did this to us and their vested interests. Because these guys are telling you exactly what they want to do. You can't blame them. But those who facilitate this, they are the issues. Now, going back to Gaza, we do have the latest video. It's now been verified by the authorities. The food situation in Gaza is all escalating, right? Starvation, apparently. Starvation in Gaza has been happening since the 1940s, apparently. That's why they have a permanent refugee status for some reason, thanks to the UN. They say they have no food in Gaza. This is the latest video we have. Okay, so obviously the humanitarian trucks continue to go to Gaza, but let's not be mistaken. The situation in Gaza is not to a point where the only food that gets there is from the humanitarian trucks from Egypt or Jordan or wherever. Most of the parts of Gaza, especially right now in the center, they are still producing their own food anyway. The humanitarian part was primarily aimed at the residential areas that were targeted because the Islamist leadership, were hiding inside the residential areas. The IDF obviously had to tell the residential the civilians to leave. They bombed those areas. They had to give the humanitarian food and everything else to those parts temporarily because everything is ruined. The rest of Gaza still produce food and water and everything else. Well, they clearly also have good internet because, of course, Mr. Fafo continues to be an influencer. I don't know what job he has today because he's basically changed so many jobs over the last few months, from being a corpse to a press correspondent to, of course, a radiologist, to a singer. I think it was an American Idol contestant for a while. And he joined the UN for a bit, and he died again. Then he got married. He's done a lot. He's with his hard work, he could make a good life in the Western world. But of course, the propaganda isn't really helping the narrative because it's not in their interest to tell you the truth. They're not even telling you that a huge amount of Israeli civilians have been displaced and lost their homes in the north of Israel because Hezbollah continues to bomb the residential areas. There's a difference between a group of people who are just proactively targeting civilians and another group of people from Israel who are trying their best to target the enemy who are hiding inside the residential areas. If the Islamists in Gaza were brave enough to wear official uniforms like a normal government and defense force with their tanks and everything else and fight on the front line, well, it would have been a normal fight. There would have been no need to go inside Gaza. You would just fight them on the border. But they are cowards. And they want to use their own people as shields, human shields. That's what you have to do. Anyway, let's get some of the reaction from you guys. See, this is the problem. Susan says, sorry, I'm not interested in other countries. I'm concerned about my country at the moment. So this is the whole problem. This fight, we live in a globalized world. It's not even about the Jews in Israel anymore. It's not even about certain parts. This is not the 18th century where if there's a fight in villages in Korea and you could just sit in America and be like, everything's fine. The enemy is here, and it's here to hurt us because in Lebanon, in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Iran, all those areas, in Qatar, these people are proactively regrouping everybody, rallying the troops, funding people in the West to cause trouble. You need to eliminate it from there so they don't come here. You need to stop the immigration as well, close down the borders, freeze the whole thing, stop it. You can't just say like Susan, hey, it's fine, somewhere else happening. I don't really care. I just need to go pay more bills and buy my Starbucks. No. The enemy is here. You have to care about anything that happens, even something happening in the Mexican border near Texas, we have to care. Because the Middle Eastern terrorists and North Africans are also going there through the Mexican border to America. You bring down the American system, you bring down the British system and the French, and the whole of the Western world is gone. We must be concerned about what's going on in America, in Canada, in Australia, in South Africa, in Israel, in Iran. Because it affects us now. We do not live in an isolated world anymore. We don't have to get involved. I don't want the British troops to go there. That would be a crazy idea. Let's not do that anymore. But you need to make sure everybody's aware of what happens around the world so we learn the lessons here. We've been too complacent and too ignorant. We close our eyes, and by we, I'm talking about the whole of society for decades and decades. People have not been told about the threat of Islamism. And when Tony Blair and Angela Merkel and all the others opened the doors and saying, these are just some nice Islamic people from the Middle East and North Africa, and everybody is the same. Everybody is equally innocent. Nobody saw a threat. We were like, well, okay, that's nice. Because we haven't been told that the rise of Islamism was already happening for decades. After centuries of fights and crusades, they went down for a bit. They were coming up anyway in the 20th century, way before 9/11, way before the whole Iraq and Afghanistan thing. It was already happening. 1979, they took over Iran. Lebanon went down. Syria, the whole thing changed. And we back then were saying, it's happening somewhere else. I don't really care. I'm just going to worry about the VAT rates here in the UK. And now this happened. And we allowed our own stupid globalist establishments to go and play games in those regions on our behalf, using our money, sacrificing our soldiers' lives. And now it's backfiring because we didn't want to care. Blueprint for Murder says, this guy is a propagandist. Aw, thank you. I do love newcomers to the channel. Make sure to subscribe and maybe join 2CTV Plus. Blueprint for Murder. Weirdos. Anyway. Noah says your thoughts on Owen Jones. Well, I think anybody who's been watching this channel since 2018-19, I think they know my thoughts on Owen Jones. I made a vow months ago to stop talking about Owen Jones, obviously, especially after our fight. So he still blocked me. He still has me blocked on Twitter. So let's just say I do not agree with the mini communist Owen on almost anything. Bong James Bong says, exactly, ignoring it never solved any problems, but made them worse. But yeah, not only made them worse, by ignoring what was happening around the world, we allowed our stupid, greedy, idiotic globalist leadership to go and fight on our behalf and lie to us, creating propaganda saying, yeah, we're just going to go fight some terrorists. Oh, really? So you're not just there for strategical reasons, for oil, or to bring down a dictator, to replace him with a different dictator. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, right? That's definitely not going to backfire. You did that to the Middle East and North Africa. And now it's backfiring. Good luck with that. Obama allowed the red line to be crossed in the Middle East. Well, I mean, we talk a lot about Biden's mess in Afghanistan, for example. Let's not forget about Libya. That was Obama and Hillary Clinton. Of course, the others as well. Sarkozy, Dave, call me Dave, all of them. Who's this? You say that you only care about your country at this moment. No, I don't. I literally said the opposite. Oh. Is it just me or just one of those days? Okay. But almost every time you speak with reverence in favor of kosher against Muslims, I'm more than sure that you are hiding your Jew essence. Firstly, the first part proves that this person doesn't even listen. This is what happens when you have bad parents and bad teachers. I literally said the whole point of not just this channel, but people who watch this channel, they do it because we believe in life and freedom across the world. Anybody, anywhere in the world that is in favor of life and freedom, we support. For example, Javier Milei. Go Milei. Not just this country, every country. And the whole point of the message is that we live in a globalized world. So, unlike decades ago, patriots and nationalists must also support each other. Don't intervene in each other's countries. Put your country first, France first, Canada first, America first, Britain first. But we must also be each other's voices because we have nobody else. The globalists fight on an international level. We must also now start fighting on an international level. We support each other. Trump campaign, Le Pen campaign, all of them. And that's the whole plan. Not just your country. If you want to protect your country, you must also make sure your neighbors are also patriotic and believe in sovereign rights and democracy. Otherwise, they'll come and attack you. That's exactly what happened with the Persian Empire. When next door to the Persian Empire, when inside the Persian Empire it was civilized, everything was fine, everyone was happy and gay and dancing and drunk. Somehow, they forgot that right next door, Muhammad and everybody else and his followers were writing a letter to send it to the king in Persia, saying you have about 12 minutes to surrender and convert to Islam. Otherwise, we're going to come and take your women. The king forgot to actually respond to the letter, just basically ignored it. And they came and took their women. And they changed the whole culture and country. Oops. Also, Jesus comes first. Team Jesus. So, Jew essence. I do love how people call people like me like a Jew or a Zionist as if it's like some sort of insult. Anyway, super chat time. Saying Maya, let's marry. I swear I am attractive. That's a good selling point. You might have to convince my girlfriend, but otherwise, yeah, I'm fine. If she's fine with it. Thank you for that, by the way. David reminds us that Medina was a nice city until Muhammad. But which one are we talking about? Muhammad Hijab or the Hezbollah Muhammad or the... So many Muhammads. Right. Lemony and it is also right. Owen Jones is a waste of O2. I thought you were going to say CO2. I was like, what? Why CO2? Okay. Okay, the whole comment is now gone towards full-on Islam. Oh dear. Patricia says, thank you for your work. So much ignorance out there. You are so valuable. Thank you, Patricia. Do you want to marry me as well? And we have Jerusalem Jim saying, girlfriend? What's his name? Did you just assume my girlfriend's gender? Wow. Wow. Karen says, if Muslims expect females to wear burqas and hijabs, why don't the men do the same? I don't think looking at the Islamic men is going to turn anybody on. Let's just say. I don't think they're going to walk around the streets and people say, ooh, that Arab man is so attractive. I wish he was covering himself. Now I want to do bad things to him. I don't think that's the case, really. Not even during the Pride Month that's going to happen. PC says, super chat saying, God bless you, Maya. Thank you very much, PC. David Gray says, who blocked me? No one. Your comment is visible and public on the channel, David. Tanya says, if there is some invisible YouTube mod out there who doesn't like me talking about Jesus, well, too bad. Yeah, so for the record, we do not have any actual human mods on this channel, so all the comments should be visible. I can see them. That's why I'm putting them on the screen. Although if someone blocks you personally on the chat, they will not see your comment in the future. So that's one of the issues. Or it could just be YouTube algorithm going crazy again as usual. Facetalker says, the amount of censoring here is crazy. So for the record, again, considering it's just me doing it, I'm literally talking, trying to skim through the comments, multitasking, which I can't do really, and picking your comments randomly. I can't censor. I can hardly pick a comment while I'm talking anyway, let alone talk and filter through the comments and censor people. Anyway. PC now says, some of my comments are not appearing tonight. Weird. So make sure in the live chat, there's a button that says top chat. If you click on it and choose live chat, it will show all the chats. It should show all the chats, hopefully, unless something is wrong with the YouTube AI. I don't know what's going on. Regular should say YouTube blocks me in comments when I say Israel, not in live chats. Yeah, I think it's the bots, it's the AI thing. I don't know what's going on with it, really. I've enabled all the comments in the back end. So even normal videos, I've not added any filter, because you can add filter or censorship, like if someone uses bad words or whatever. I've just enabled everybody. Ms. Nodal says, I would marry you, 2C. Well, that's a lot of marriage proposals tonight. It's only Monday. Wow. Thank you. Another super chat saying all Muslim countries have one thing in common. They were not Muslim countries. That's a good point when you think about it. That's actually a very good point. Yeah. That's all I can say. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break and see what's going to happen within the next couple of hours. More chaos across the world. Don't forget to subscribe and join 2C TV Plus to support us from end of this week. We are bringing back the shows. We had to pause a little bit with all the changes in studio and chaos at 2C TV Plus. It's coming back, and it's coming back strongly. So subscribe to it, and I'm going to go back and make some phone calls to the annual subscribers, because if you join on an annual basis to 2C TV Plus, go on 2C.tv, you get a discount, but also you get a welcome call from me. There's a big list. I'm still going through it every day. So you will get a phone call very soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.